In Honduras, the death toll rises to 20 in illegal drug trade killings.
President Xiomara Castro imposes a 15-day curfew in Choloma. More details on this later in the news. Good evening, I am Gianna Llanes.
I am Nina Richie Flores. This is Mata ng Agila International. Now for the headlines. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. commends Army Special Force for peacekeeping efforts. DFA assures Filipinos that OFWs in Russia are safe and sound. Seoul celebrates peace from Korean War, while Pyongyang rallies against United States. Multiple world officials weigh in on Wagner uprising. And fans jam for 2 nights with Bruno Mars in the world's largest indoor arena. The Maritime Industry Authority, or Marina, spearheads this year's Day of the Filipino Seafarers, or DOT-FS, at the New Coast Hotel in Manila. The annual celebration, assigned by International Maritime Organization, aims to recognize the significant contribution of seafarers worldwide to the international seaborne trade. The Philippines celebrates the day every 25th of June under Presidential Proclamation number 183, series of 2011. This year's DOT-FS highlights the role of seafarers in safeguarding the marine environment, anchored in the World Maritime theme, MARPOL at 50. Our commitment goes on. Marina lines up activities as part of the celebration with the aim to pay tribute to Filipino seafarers for their struggles and efforts in the domestic and international trade economy.
President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. urges the Army Special Force to continue supporting Filipinos in times of crisis. Vin Pascua reports.
President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. commends the Special Forces Regiment Airborne, or SFRA, of the Philippine Army for its endeavors in the service of peacekeeping in the country. The President praises the Special Forces during the 61st anniversary of the SFRA at Fort Magsaysay in Palayan City, Nueva Ecija. In his speech, the President vows to further boost the Special Forces capabilities through the Riverine Operations Equipment Project, or ROEP. ROEP aims to improve SFRA's capabilities in riverine operations in insertion and extraction for rescue and various special military missions. The President notes that the Special Forces showed their fortitude and prowess in public service.
You have exemplified self-sacrifice and resilience, going beyond the call of duty to safeguard communities towards the attainment of internal security and of the peace of the Republic. I think it would be safe to say that you have lived up to your name as the silent professionals.
The President emphasizes the Special Forces' mastery of unconventional warfare strategies has become vital and relevant to the complex risk that the nation is facing with. The President also congratulated SFRA awardees for their contributions and exemplary performance to the regiment. SFRA was established in 1962 by then-Captain former President Fidel V. Ramos. Vin Pascua, reporting for Mata ng Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
Finance Secretary Benjamin Jokno says the government is on track to exceed its revenue target for the year 2023. For the first 5 months of the year, the revenue collections reached 1.6 trillion pesos, a 10.8% increase compared to the same period last year. Tax collections accounted for the majority of the state revenue, with 1.41 trillion pesos collected, a 9.71% increase from last year. The Bureau of Internal Revenue contributed to the bulk of tax revenues, collecting 1.054 trillion pesos. Non-tax collections, including the income from the Bureau of Treasury, economy stood at 178 billion pesos, a 20.56% increase from the previous year. Jokno expresses confidence in surpassing the target for the full year. He attributes the higher revenues to improved tax administration and the Bureau of Internal Revenue's campaign against fake receipts.
Philippine Economic Zone Authority or PEZA Director General Teresa Panga says the Philippines remains the top investment hub in the region despite tough competition and tensions with China. He emphasizes the high labor productivity and incentives offered by the Philippines, such as value-added tax exemptions, as key factors in attracting investments. Panga also mentions the establishment of green lanes for strategic investments to expedite document processing. He expressed confidence that the ongoing dispute in the West Philippine Sea would not hinder investment growth, as China remains as one of the country's top investors. He invited investors from the energy sector to help address the high cost of electricity by locating economic zones which could benefit all sides. Currently, PEZA has generated nearly 2 million job opportunities and over 9 million jobs indirectly.
Motorists are to expect pump price hikes tomorrow. The Department of Energy forecasts diesel and kerosene prices to increase by more than 1 peso per liter. Gasoline is expected to rise not more than 50 centavos per liter. DOE notes this prediction is based on last week's trade movements. Oil industry sources say diesel is expected to jump by 1 peso and 15 or 1 peso and 25 centavos per liter. Gasoline prices will climb by 15 to 25 centavos per liter. Meanwhile, Sea Oil says its diesel price will increase by 1 peso and 5 centavos per liter. Gasoline will go up by 20 centavos per liter, and kerosene will increase by 1 peso and 20 centavos. The said pump price will take effect tomorrow at 6 in the morning.
South Korea's Korea Aerospace Industries, or KAI, offers a deal to the Philippine Air Force. The deal aims to provide a cost-efficient solution to boost the country's airborne power capabilities. KAI offers 3 upgraded FA-50 light fighter jets. The company also recommends retrofitting the 12 existing FA-50s in service, allowing them to be capable of conducting air-to-ground, air-to-sea, and air-to-air mission objectives. According to KAI, the retrofit will include an assortment of radar and targeting systems, as well as adding a 300-gallon external fuel tank. PAF acquired the 12 FA-50s at 18.9 billion pesos and was used during the Marawi siege back in 2017.
DILG Secretary Benjamin Abalos Jr. says that the Philippines will support Japan in repatriating the remains of Japanese soldiers during World War II. Christina Agila has the details.
The Department of Interior and Local Government, or DILG, and the Department of Foreign Affairs, or DFA, aim to ensure a seamless recovery and repatriation process of over 300,000 remains of Japanese soldiers. These remnants from the Japanese occupation still remain on Philippine soil. A meeting was held between DILG Secretary Benjamin Abalos Jr., a representative from Japan's Ministry of Health, Labor and Welfare, and DFA Deputy Assistant Secretary Rafael Hermoso. Secretary Abalos expressed the country's willingness to assist Japan, emphasizing their strong partnership. The DILG is committed to utilizing its resources and manpower in accordance with the Memorandum of Cooperation, or MOC. The MOC was signed between the Philippines and Japan in May 2018, which outlines the proper procedures for the collection, handling, storage, and shipment of the remains. Christina Guerrero reporting from Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
Department of Foreign Affairs says Filipinos in Russia are safe and sound. Bernadette Manuel tells us more.
Department of Foreign Affairs, or DFA, assures the welfare of Filipinos settling in Russia. This is after the private mercenary group Wagner raised a mini-rebellion over the weekend against Moscow. According to DFA Undersecretary Eduardo de Vega, there are 11 Filipinos residing in Rostov, the area which Wagner initially occupied. DFA record shows that there are 10,000 Filipino people in Russia, with 90% of them residing in Moscow. Bernadette Manuel reporting for Mata ng Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
Coming up, Greece votes Mitsotakis as their new prime minister. North Koreans take to the streets denouncing the U.S. as they celebrate the 73rd anniversary of the Korean War. And Russian President Putin suffers a major blow from Wagner Group. Stay tuned, Mata ng Agila International will return for more global news.
Public Affairs program. And the star goes to Open for Business Next 25.
It is a signal to the world that we are open for business.
Open for Business with Cesar Vallejos. Every Sunday, 9 p.m.
Sa dami ng problema, parang ang hirap ng huminga, di ba? Minsan, pakiramdam mo, hopeless na. Kaya dapat ihayag ang saloobin, himayin ang hinaing, alamin ang pwedeng gawin. Mag-reality check tayo.
Tingin ang real talk ng bayan. Panalo tayo pag together, walang talo pag together. Let's stand together sa Net 25.
Welcome back to Mata ng Agila International. Chinese Premier Li Qiang meets with Barbados Prime Minister Mia Mottley during her official visit to China on Sunday. Li emphasizes that Barbados is an important friend and partner for China in the Caribbean region. He expresses China's willingness to strengthen strategic trust with Barbados and deepen cooperation across various sectors. China is eager to collaborate with Barbados on the High Quality Belt and Road Initiative. Li also pledges to import more products from Barbados and provide assistance within its capabilities for Barbados's economic and social development. Prime Minister Mottley reiterates the significance of Barbados-China relations. She expresses gratitude for China's medical assistance during the COVID-19 pandemic. The meeting ended with the signing of multiple bilateral cooperation agreements.
Sierra Leone is currently tallying the results of the presidential, parliamentary, and local elections that took place on Saturday. Mohamed Kone, the chief electoral commissioner, says the results are expected to be announced within 48 hours. Kone describes it as one of the best election days in recent history. The opposition party candidate, Samura Kamara, raised concerns about the tallying process. Kamara accuses the commission of bias and is considering a court challenge. The elections were relatively peaceful, although there have been isolated incidents of violence and intimidation reported. There are 12 men and 1 woman competing, with incumbent President Bio and Kamara as the main contenders. The outcome of the elections will be closely observed in West Africa, a region that has recently faced political unrest.
Guatemala's presidential election concluded on Sunday with the polls expected to go into a second runoff. The former First Lady Sandra Torres is expected to win the first round but falls short of the required 50% plus 1 vote for a victory. Over 20 other candidates are vying for the position, including diplomat Edmund Mullet and Zuri Rios, daughter of the late General and President Efrain Rios Montt. The exclusion of several candidates, including frontrunner Carlos Pineda, draws criticism from the United States and the European Union. The election saw young voters participating for the first time, relying on social media to make their choices. The hope among voters is that the elected leader will fulfill their campaign promises and bring positive change.
Voters in Greece have given the country's conservative New Democracy Party a landslide victory. It's the second time in 5 weeks Greeks have gone to the polls. Julian Bukayan reports.
Supporters of conservative leader Kyriakos Mitsotakis celebrated outside his campaign headquarters as results of the vote came in. Exit polls projected his party would get more than 40% of the vote. His main rival, left-wing Syriza party, is expected to garner less than 20% support. The result gave Mitsotakis enough parliamentary seats for a second four-year term. 5 weeks ago, he won the election but was 5 seats short of being able to form a majority government. Rather than forming a coalition government, Mitsotakis sent voters back to the polls for a second election. The 55-year-old politician is credited with nursing Greece back to economic health after a crippling debt crisis. Julian Bukayan from Matanang Agila International, trusted, connected, on point.
Vietnamese Prime Minister Pham Minh Chinh has arrived in China on Sunday afternoon, where he was welcomed by Chinese Premier Li Qiang. It was Pham Minh's first visit to China since taking office 2 years ago, and the first official visit by a Vietnamese prime minister in 7 years. Vietnamese ambassador to China Pham Sao Mai said the visit has extreme importance amid complex international relations and the downturn of the world economy. China is Vietnam's largest trading partner, largest import market, and second largest export market. Vietnam, meanwhile, is China's largest trading partner in the ASEAN. During the visit, the two countries are expected to exchange views on deepening cooperation under the Belt and Road Initiative, strengthening connectivity, and stabilizing production and supply chains.
Tunisians took to the streets in Sfax, southeast of the capital Tunis, on Sunday to protest against the presence of illegal sub-Saharan migrants. Sfax serves as a key departure point for migrants attempting to reach Europe by sea. Ziad Maali, the organizer of the protest, explains that the gathering was a response to escalating tensions in local neighborhoods. He says criminal activities are rampant and involve the use of weapons like machetes. Maalouli emphasizes the need to halt the influx of illegal migrants as their presence poses a threat to peace and security. He stresses that the demonstration aims to promote unity, devoid of any racism or hate speech. He further says that the protest demands the law to be enforced, to reimpose visas, and to better control borders.
Thousands of South Koreans demonstrated in the streets of Seoul protesting Japan's decision to release radioactive water from the Fukushima nuclear plant. They say they are concerned about the impact this could have on seafood in South Korea. Arlene Ocampo tells us more.
The demonstrators in South Korea say the decision to dump wastewater to save money is a criminal act that is destroying the marine ecosystem. They contend there is a way to store the contaminated water on land. Outside Seoul City Hall, demonstrators held signs that read, "Protect Pacific Ocean" and "Storage on Land." Despite opposition from South Korea and other countries, the Japanese government says it will release the water from the crippled nuclear plant sometime this summer. An exact date has not been set. The Japanese government says the water has been treated, and although it is slightly radioactive, it has been diluted to safe levels. The water is currently stored in tanks at the plant. The government wants it moved to prevent accidental leaks should there be an earthquake. They also want to make room to decommission the plant. Arlene Ocampo from Matanang Agila International, trusted, connected, on point.
South Korea marked the 73rd anniversary of the outbreak of the Korean War on the weekend. The government invited veterans to a ceremony in Seoul. Anna Kui reports.
South Korean Prime Minister Han Duck-soo used the occasion to call for the establishment of genuine peace by strengthening the country's military. He says North Korea's constant missile tests and other military threats come from an outdated worldview. Han pledged to protect South Korea with self-reliant defense. The Korean War began in 1950 after North Korea invaded South Korea in an attempt to bring the region under communist control. More than 175,000 South Korean soldiers and members of United Nations forces died in the conflict. At the ceremony, Han presented veterans with uniforms and gave awards to families of soldiers who had died. Anna Kui from Matanang Agila International, trusted, connected, on point.
In North Korea, nearly 120,000 people joined rallies in Pyongyang to denounce the United States. Working people and students shouted slogans vowing a war of revenge against the U.S. State media KCNA also said North Korea has the strongest absolute weapon that will punish the U.S. KCNA added the mass rallies were part of the 73rd anniversary celebration of the Korean War. The anniversary came amid concerns over reports that Kim Jong-un could launch another military satellite soon. Some analysts believe Kim's spy satellite aims to monitor the activities of the United States.
Fresh from Paris for the Global Financial Pact Summit, Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva calls for an agreement with the EU and Mercosur towards pushing for the advancement of their free trade agreement. He discussed this extensively with French President Emmanuel Macron on the summit's sideline to resolve the EU-Mercosur process with capability and wisdom. He recounts that Mercosur nations cannot be hard-pressed to award public procurement government contracts to European companies, as these contracts are a vital development tool for Latin America's developing communities. Lula appealed to both the Mercosur and the EU to put aside arrogance in favor of common sense.
Eu acho normal que a França tente defender a sua agricultura. Acho normal. Pode ser ponto de mais dificuldade de inflexão. Mas é normal que eles também compreendam que o Brasil não pode abrir mão das compras governamentais. Porque se eu destacar para eles as compras governamentais, a possibilidade de fortalecer a indústria nacional chega a zero. A possibilidade de você permitir que pequenos e médios empresários possam produzir para o Estado comprar chega a zero. Então não é possível.
The Brazilian expressed understanding for the position of Macron, but asked for mutual respect, as France currently faces a parliament that recently passed a motion rejecting the proposed agreement with Mercosur on environmental and protectionist grounds. The Mercosur, Mercosur, or Southern Common Market, is an international trade union consisting of Latin American nations like Argentina, Brazil, Paraguay, and Uruguay.
Olha, a gente pode não fazer acordo com esse, mas vamos melhorar outras coisas. É importante que, sabe, a gente coloque pouco da arrogância de lado e a gente tente colocar o bom senso para a gente negociar. Isso vale para nós e vale para eles.
Russia appears to have averted a civil war, at least for the time being. President Vladimir Putin's grip on power found itself challenged after the Wagner Group private army tried to storm Moscow on Saturday. Thomas Likeness looks at the fallout from the weekend rebellion.
What you see here is the Wagner paramilitary troops heading back to their base. Their leader, Yevgeny Prigozhin, has avoided treason charges by agreeing to exile. And analysts say President Vladimir Putin's grip on power is more fragile than previously thought. Now, as background, Wagner forces have been fighting some of the toughest battles in Russia's war with Ukraine. Prigozhin has also been in another battle, this one a war of words with top military officials in Russia over the conduct of the country's troops in Ukraine. As well, he apparently didn't plan to obey an order that members of private military groups, including his Wagner Group, be required to sign contracts with the military by July 1st. Now, things came to a head Saturday. That's when Prigozhin and his troops seized the military headquarters in Rostov-on-Don. Wagner personnel then continued north to Moscow, coming to within 400 kilometers of the Russian capital. Putin denounced the mutiny as treason, vowing to punish all who took part. He accused them of pushing Russia to the brink of civil war. A deal brokered by the president of neighboring Belarus saw Prigozhin order his troops back to the bases. The Wagner leader agreed to it, saying he wanted to avoid spilling Russian blood. The Kremlin says Putin's former ally will leave for Belarus and not be charged, nor will any of his men. But the rebellion is an embarrassment for Putin, who in the past has severely cracked down on any dissent. French President Emmanuel Macron says the revolt shows division in the Russian camp, and he adds it reveals the fragility of both its military and auxiliary forces. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken says the Wagner uprising is a direct challenge to Putin's authority. Now that Prigozhin has been granted immunity, some experts are wondering whether it will prompt others to challenge the leadership at the Kremlin. Thomas I. Likeness from Batanang Agila International, trusted, connected, on point.
Beijing says it supports Russia in protecting its national stability. This is after the paramilitary group of Wagner raised a mini rebellion against Moscow. China's foreign ministry reaffirms Beijing and Moscow's strategic partnership. Beijing remains neutral in the Russia-Ukraine war. However, they have been condemned by Western countries for not imposing sanctions on Russia and for maintaining ties with the nation.
提到的这个瓦格纳集团的事件是俄罗斯的内政。作为友好邻邦和新时代全面战略协作伙伴，中方支持也相信俄罗斯能够维护国家稳定，实现发展繁荣。中俄各层级保持着密切良好的沟通。
The last 72 hours have not been kind for Putin and his allies. The whole world watched as Yevgeny Prigozhin, the head of Russian mercenary Wagner Group, declared an uprising against Moscow in an attempt to shake up the top brass of the military. Various officials have been quick to either point out the cracks in Russia's ironclad exterior or denounce this bid for power at a very tumultuous time for the nation. Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni says the revolt by the Wagner mercenary group shows Russia to be in internal chaos.
Stiamo ovviamente seguendo, come diceva il cancelliere, gli sviluppi di quello che sta accadendo nelle ultime ore. È difficile fare delle valutazioni ora che non siano la consapevolezza, insomma, di una situazione di caos all'interno della Federazione russa che fa un po', diciamo che stona un po' con certa propaganda che abbiamo visto negli ultimi mesi.
U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken cautions everyone to monitor the situation closely, given that Russia is one of the world's nuclear powers.
We always prepare for every contingency. In terms of what happens in Russia, it's an internal matter for the Russians to figure out. Of course, when we're dealing with a major power, and especially a major power that has nuclear weapons, that's something that's of concern. Something we're very focused on. We haven't seen any change in Russia's nuclear posture. There hasn't been any change in ours, but it's something we're going to watch very, very carefully.
EU's top diplomat Josep Borrell mimics Blinken's sentiment that instability in the nuclear-armed power is not a good thing.
And I think that it's more important than ever to continue supporting Ukraine, because what has happened during this weekend shows that the win against Ukraine is cracking Russian power and affecting its political system.
In a televised address to the nation, Russian President Vladimir Putin says he will not allow civil war to emerge in Russia as he vows to protect the people from any threats.
Интриги, склоки, политиканство за спиной армии и народа обернулись величайшим потрясением, разрушением армии и распадом государства, утратой громадных территорий, в итоге трагедией гражданской войны. Мы не дадим этому повториться. Защитим и наш народ, и нашу государственность от любых угроз, в том числе от внутреннего предательства.
Up next, Greek protesters slam EU border policies after migrant shipwreck. Honduras announces curfew after multiple cartel hits. And anti-coal activists take to the streets in Germany. Please don't go away. Mata ng Agila International will be back after a short break.
Counterpoint, mula sa showbiz, tumawid siya sa politika. Ngayon siya ang incumbent councilor ng 5th District dito sa Quezon City. Councilor Aiko Melendez.
Akala nila ang politika is bread and butter. Hindi. Kasi kaya ka nga papasok ng public service kasi nga service to the people. Pero ang nagiging ano sa kanila parang, kikita-kita tayo. Mali.
Ngayong Miyerkules alas 10:30 ng gabi, dito lang sa Net 25. Puro yabang itong ating mga taga-usig, lalong-lalo na dyan sa DOJ. Nauuna yung panghuhusga, nauuna yung pangahatol kahit wala pang preliminary investigation.
Panalo tayo pag together, walang talo pag together. Let's stand together sa Net 25.
United States aircraft carrier USS Ronald Reagan arrives in Vietnam with 2 escort ships. This is part of the first decade of U.S.-Vietnam Comprehensive Partnership. U.S. Navy officials disembark and meet their Vietnamese counterparts in a brief ceremony. According to the U.S. Navy, there are 5,000 sailors aboard the aircraft carrier. Vietnam and U.S. are in the stage to strengthen economic trade amid China's increasing influence in the region. A Chinese survey vessel, multiple Coast Guard ships, and fishing boats were spotted in Vietnam's exclusive economic zone and eventually left in early June.
The deaths of migrants in a shipwreck off the coast of Greece have sparked outcry and reignited scrutiny of the Greek Coast Guard and European migration policies. Critics dispute these proposals, asserting that these EU policies impair existing migration deficiencies and violate human rights. Some protesters claim these regulations are similar to the United States asylum-seeking process. Local reports say southern frontline countries have been demanding more support, while Germany and France have expressed concerns about allowing asylum seekers to move freely within the EU bloc. These disagreements, according to analysts, have resulted in diplomatic tensions with recent clashes between Italy and France. But top EU officials vow they will finalize major reforms to address the asylum migration process.
Russia shows a record as the only European country that experienced deflation in food prices for the past months. Russian sources based their calculations from May to early June in about 40 European countries. According to the data, the prices for food and non-alcoholic beverage in Russia dropped by 1.12% annually, while prices from April have fallen to 0.22%. In addition, the head of Russia's Association of Food Producers and Suppliers have said to the news agency that the main cause of deflation are rooted in national currencies, from reorientation of logistic routes and settlement expansion. Agency research found that some European countries from last month have experienced a rise in food prices compared to the slower pace in other nations, as Serbia, Slovakia, Estonia, and Ukraine have increased the annual price rate to above 20%. Hungary has recorded at 34%, with the highest food inflation in the area.
In India, a school bus gets stuck in a waterlogged underpass in Kedah district. This is after heavy rains hit many parts of Gujarat, India, causing floods in the region. Authorities say residents rushed to help students out through the window of the vehicles. Local officials say the flooding is due to Cyclone Biparjoy, which has left great damage to agriculture in the region.
One person has died in a roller coaster accident at an amusement park in Sweden. Police say at least 7 others have been injured. Emmy Capili-Taroja has more.
The accident happened Sunday at the Gröna Lund amusement park in Stockholm. Apparently, the Jetline roller coaster derailed during a ride and one of the cars broke away and plunged to the ground. Police say the injured included children and adults. They have been taken to the hospital. There is no indication as to the extent of the injuries. The ride opened in 1988 and it travels at speeds of up to 90 kilometers per hour. The park has been closed until further notice. Emi Capilita Roja for Mata ng Agila International, trusted, connected, on point.
On Sunday, the Honduran government announces curfews in 2 northern cities after over 20 people were killed in separate attacks. President Xiomara Castro announced a 15-day curfew in Choloma from 9 p.m. to 4 a.m. and another in San Pedro Sula on July 4. The president added that the government was offering a bounty of $32,707 to help and identify those responsible for the killings. On Saturday night, armed men opened fire in a billiards hall in the neighborhood where 13 people were killed and 1 individual still remains in serious condition. Reports added that at least 11 other murders took place in separate attacks across the northern Valle de Sula zone, including in San Pedro Sula. The Honduran government will be sending a proposal to classify members of the cartels and will add 1,000 additional police and military to the Sula Valley. The government announced that starting July 21, the military of police of public order would take control of the country's 21 prisons for a year.
Teenager Suleiman Dawood, who died in the Titan submersible, took his Rubik's Cube to break a world record. In an interview, his mother, Christine Dawood, said that the 19-year-old applied to the Guinness World Records, where he will solve the Rubik's Cube 3,700 meters below sea at the Titanic. She added that she had planned to go with her husband to view the wreck of the Titanic, but the trip was canceled because of the COVID pandemic. She gave her spot to her son instead. Together with his father, Shahzada Dawood, Suleiman was included in the 5 people who died on board. Suleiman was a student at the University of Strathclyde in Glasgow, in the UK. His father, meanwhile, was British and from one of Pakistan's richest families. The family, including daughter Alina, boarded the Polar Prince on Father's Day. Mrs. Dawood said they hugged and made jokes in the moments before her husband and son boarded the Titan submersible.
Hundreds of Greenpeace activists stormed a steel plant in the Netherlands, forcing open the gates to the facility. The demonstrators defied a ban on the protest by local authorities. Kimi Oria has more details.
The plant belongs to Tata Steel, a manufacturing giant. It is located in Velsen, near Amsterdam. Protesters say the plant is one of the most polluting metal plants in Europe, adding it is located in a densely populated area. There are concerns that the steel manufacturer is contaminating the air, soil, and groundwater. They say the plant is literally making people ill. Greenpeace says lung cancer rates in the area are 51% higher than the national average. The plant is being investigated by environmental agencies and prosecutors. Kimi Oria from Mata ng Agila International, trusted, connected, on point.
Anti-coal activists in Germany demonstrated on the weekend. The protest took place at an open-pit coal mine in the country's east. JC Yumel has the details.
Organizers claim 1,000 people took part in the anti-coal protest in Germany, but the police put the figure at about 500. The demonstrators want an early phasing out of coal. They say that would help the country comply with the 1.5-degree warming limit set by the Paris Climate Agreement. They also want limits on coal mined in the region. They say it should not exceed 205 million tons by 2038. JC Yumul for Mata ng Agila International, trusted, connected, on point.
Coming right up, music legend Elton John performs at eco-friendly Glastonbury. Carlos Alcaraz is the king of Queen's Club 2023. And Bruno Mars rocks the Philippine Arena. Catch more news in business, tech, sports, and entertainment when we return.
Nagbabalik ang Lutong Daza dito sa Net25. Ako si Sandy Daza.
At ako naman si Patwi Daza and we are the Cooking Cousins. Asahan nyo ang mas nakakatakam na mga recipes, mas malakas na halakhakan.
At tawag ko rito put-put eh.
Put-put. At syempre mga celebrity guests na game.
Express mo yun. Galing.
Kita-kits sa kusina. Lutong Daza, Saturdays, 11 a.m. sa Net25.
Panalo tayo pag together, walang talo pag together. Let's get together sa Net25.
We now welcome you back to Mata ng Agila International. Walt Disney Company has suffered nearly $900 million in losses on its recent 8 movies. The media conglomerate took quite a financial hit despite releasing notable movies such as Lightyear, Thor, Love and Thunder, Strange World, Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, The Little Mermaid, and Elemental. According to box office analyst Valiant Renegade, these 8 movies have cost the studio $2.75 billion and only brought back $1.86 billion back to Disney, with a total of $890 million in lost revenue. Meanwhile, Bob Chapek was replaced last November as Disney's CEO when Bob Iger returned to the company. In a report in October 2022, Disney's total number of employees was about 220,000 worldwide, with 3.2% that represents the 7,000 layoffs. This results in the company target reaching the cost savings of about $5.5 billion, followed by $2.5 billion in non-content costs of labor costs and the other $1 billion in targeted cost reductions. Elton John bid farewell to the United Kingdom in a remarkable performance at Glastonbury, the festival entirely powered by renewable energy. He expresses gratitude to his fans, all standing due to the amount of people who watched his show. The 76-year-old music legend captivated the audience with a set list brimming with classic pop moments. The organizers explained that power usage for Glastonbury 2023 was fulfilled through renewable energy sources. The commitment to sustainability extended beyond energy, as single-use plastic drink bottles were prohibited. All utensils and plates used at the festival were reusable, with food waste converted into compost. For nearly 4 decades, the green field of the festival has been free of fossil fuel usage. As the festival looks towards the future, it continues to embrace eco-friendly practices by expanding the utility of solar, wind, and pedal power options.
Team Philippines captured 4 gold medals in the Special Olympics World Games 2023 in Berlin, Germany. In swimming, Noel Cartera wins 2 gold medals in the 50 meters backstroke and butterfly, while Princess Garcia wins 50-meter backstroke. In athletics, the 48-year-old Flor de Liza Beanto also struck gold in the 50-meter run. In total, Team Philippines has 6 medals in the Special Olympics, with 1 silver and 1 bronze. The Special Olympics World Games is the world's largest inclusive sports event, where thousands of athletes with disabilities compete in 26 sports. It was recognized by the International Olympic Committee, or IOC, since 1988. The next Special Olympics will be in Italy in 2025. Carlos Alcaraz has returned to world number 1 as he won at the Queen's Club against Alex de Minaur. This after Alcaraz defeated the Australian de Minaur in 2 sets, 6-4, 6-4. It was Alcaraz's first title on grass at Queen's in the 3rd grass court tournament of his career. For Alcaraz, it was special for him being included with Rafael Nadal, Pete Sampras, and John McEnroe as former winners at Queen's. The Spaniard's 5th title of the season moves him back ahead of 23-time Grand Slam champion Novak Djokovic at the top of the rankings. The 20-year-old has failed to get past the 4th round in 2 previous attempts at Wimbledon, but this impressive feat will be the biggest threat to Djokovic securing an 8th title at the All England Club next month. In a celebration of 50 years of hip-hop, the 2023 BET Awards delivers a performance-packed show that felt like a party. The standout surprise came from Quavo and Offset of Migos. They paid tribute to their late bandmate Takeoff, showing a rendition of Bad and Bougie with an image of him in the backdrop. Throughout the event, performers such as Tupac, Notorious B.I.G., and Pop Smoke received heartfelt tributes. Busta Rhymes was awarded the Lifetime Achievement Award, highlighting his 12 Grammy nominations. The show concluded with a solemn in memoriam tribute honoring Black luminaries, including jazz legend Wayne Shorter and The Wire actor Lance Reddick. The Philippine Arena was packed with fans as Grammy Award-winning Filipino-American artist Bruno Mars held a historic 2-night concert. Join me as we recount a historic night for the Filipino hooligans. The Philippine Arena was packed with fans as Grammy Award-winning Filipino-American artist Bruno Mars held a historic 2-night concert. After 5 years, multiple Grammy Award winner and Filipino-American superstar Bruno Mars returned to the Philippines for his 2-night concert last weekend. The world's largest indoor arena was filled with intense cheering and dancing as fans enjoyed the artist's full-swing performances. Bruno Mars jammed to his hit songs as Filipino fans sang along to popular songs like Billionaire, That's What I Like, and Versace on the Floor. Among the concert highlights was Bruno Mars showcasing his Filipino roots by speaking Filipino words such as Miss na kita, mahal. Miss na kita, mahal. You make me beg, baby, and that's exactly what I'll do. Bruno Mars performed the song Marry You. And in the middle of it, a concert attendee even proposed to their partner. The entire Philippine arena turned into a karaoke session as everyone sang along to the song, Just the Way You Are. Several celebrities and influencers attended the concert, including Khalil Ramos, Gabby Garcia, Zainab, Sara Labati, Robbie Domingo, Ruru Madrid, Bianca Umali, Mavi Legaspi, Kailin Alcantara, Darren Espanto, Cassie Legaspi, Inigo Pascual, and many others. Net 25 stars, including Pia Guanyo Mago with her family, Kado Mago host Emma Tiglao and Diana Meneses, Ara Mina, and Corina Sanchez were also present at the concert. Mata ng Agila primetime anchor Ricky Matay, ASPN host Ali Soto, Mata ng Agila tanghali and weekend anchor Wedge Kudyama joined in the celebration. Bruno Mars wholeheartedly thanked the Filipinos and expressed his happiness in returning to the country and performing in front of his fans. He made history as the first solo artist to have back-to-back concerts at the Philippine Arena. Many have noticed that the Philippine Arena is becoming home to big names in the music industry. Music fans are eagerly awaiting more sold-out concerts by famous artists in the field of music. Gianna Llanes for Mata ng Agila International, trusted, connected, on point.
June is National Camping Month in the U.S. Today, let's find out what makes the outdoors very appealing to our friends and neighbors across the globe. Marjorie Quintos reports.
Summer is here, and what better way to reconnect with nature than by camping? Did you know that National Camping Month has been celebrated every year in the month of June since the 1970s? Today, our friends from across the globe will share not only their favorite camping sites, but also some tips when it comes to braving the outdoors. Let's take a look.
One of my favorite campsites is probably Dead Horse Cave in Gooding, Idaho. It's really cool because it's an underground cave and it's just out in the open.
My favorite place to go camping is the National Seashore Beach or Park, I believe. I like the fact that it's super quiet and it's just you and the water and the sand, and it's very calming. That's where I go to kind of have my own like reset and refresh moments.
I used to be a Boy Scout when I was younger, so a place I went to camping a lot was Camp Kawankwa, and it was a really big campsite because there was a lot of people coming from all over. You know, nowadays people kind of get distracted at work, staying indoors, so getting outdoors, getting exercise, it's just a real natural way to get your body moving.
My favorite place to go camping was in Georgetown Lake, and that was close to Anaconda, Montana.
Show us what you got there with you right now.
Well, water is definitely something that you do. And then this is the aloe plant that you use after your sunburn. It cools it off and makes it feel less.
My favorite places are going to the lakes around Idaho. You can bring your paddleboard, get in the water, and just relax.
One of our favorite camping spots, it's a place called Lake Bob Sandlin. And so some of the things that you should bring when you're going camping, a tent, of course, you know, sleeping bags, because sometimes it can get cold at night. Plenty of food, plenty of snacks. You want to bring drinks. You may want to bring charcoal or firewood.
Lived here in Copenhagen all my life. So yeah, here in Copenhagen, a park called Brylos Park. It's like a nice little comfy place, not too crowded. It's kind of like a slice of paradise. It's very unspoiled in a way.
Growing up, camping was something that my family and I love to do all the time. And one of my favorite campgrounds is Cherry Stone. This is located in Virginia. There were so many outdoor activities that we did together, like fishing, crabbing, swimming.
The things I would definitely bring with me camping are a lighter for a campfire and marshmallows.
Where do you like to go camping?
Outside.
Outside?
Yeah.
And what do you like to bring with you when you go camping?
Tiny
Whether with friends, with family, or as a solo adventure, camping is a great way to explore the outdoors. In Montreal, Canada, I'm Marjorie Quintos for Mata ng Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
A Filipino-owned restaurant in California serves up savory Guamanian dishes and shares stories about the beauty of Guam. And in the wake of a powerful typhoon on the island, Alia's homestyle cooking also shares the resilience of the people living there. Here are Alan and Eva Basalyaje with the story.
Arriving all the way from Guam, Alia's homestyle cooking touched down at a Philippine Independence Day celebration to introduce their style of Filipino Guamanian cuisine,
as well as answer questions about the devastation wrought by recent Typhoon Muar and why for them, island life is still worthwhile.
This is the cook. You gotta kiss the cook. And so she's here to introduce all the authentic Guamanian dishes that makes Guam just such a beautiful, beautiful island.
and it consists of red rice, barbecue chicken, shrimp patty, Shanghai lumpia, chicken calaguen, salad, Benedeni sauce, which is the absolute must when you eat barbecue. And then we also have fried chicken as well. And then we also have other desserts there. We were both born in the island of Guam. So wherever we're born, that would be our home. It's no comparison to the States because the States is a city life, fast paced, but back home, it's more relaxed. You're just enjoying paradise like if you were to go to Hawaii.
The island of Guam is beautiful. It has beautiful golf courses, and it's just really a laid back island. And I want to go back. We need to go back soon.
While returning home was an exciting prospect, the aftermath of a super typhoon also meant dealing with some harsh realities. We don't have any power, no water, but we have FEMA, Blue Cross, Red Cross helping the island as well.
Look up the island of Guam and you will see different ways that you can give and donate to help the recovery of the island of Guam. And to all my family that's still out there, Hafa.
When asked if permanent relocation is an alternative, the response we received was a respectful but definite no.
Because no matter the weather, for these islanders, Guam remains a place that they call home.
Reporting from Carson, California, Eva and Alan for Mata ng Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
Well, it's only the first day of the work week.
It's okay, we got this.
Yep, and what better way to start than with a quote from arguably the greatest NFL coach of all time, Vince Lombardi. Perfection is not attainable, but if we chase perfection, we can catch excellence.
That's perfect, and I think that in everything we do, we shouldn't be afraid to chase perfection.
And I don't mind being imperfect if I can be excellent.
That's true. And that's a wrap for tonight's news. Catch the latest updates on our social media channels. I am Gianna Llanes.
I am Nina Richie Alago Flores. This is Mata ng Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.